AKAPADers here. Before we get into it, Peter A. DeLuca, by the way, AKAPAD, the eclectic one. Go hit my website, AKAPAD.com. Let me know in the comments what you think of it. It's a depository of my life's work, and everything I do is there, available in all kinds of iterations. But anyway, I've been publishing videos at 10 o'clock at night, and that's because my Adobe Premiere Pro has quadrupled my rendering time. Usually something like a 10-minute video would take 7 to 12 minutes. Now it's taking 45 plus minutes. I'm working through this issue. Moving on. So I was just taking a shower. You guys haven't guessed. We got the wet hair. I was just taking a shower, and I kept thinking of this meme that it kept circulating on Facebook. I knew it was fake because it made no sense. And the meme essentially was Michael Keaton and Supergirl are out of the Flash movie. They're gone. Now, I'll put the meme up here. But this meme, that it's clearly fake, on Facebook, I mean, there was multiple threads of this thing getting nothing but comments. And it was festering. I couldn't get it out of my gray matter. And the reason was because there was a side of me that believed it. There was a side of me that wanted it to be true because it would be the absolute dumbest mistake that anything with this new DC universe and the James Gunn regime, it would be the stupidest move they could make. And I wasn't putting it past them to make that move for whatever reason. But it got me thinking. And it really got me back to that announcement video by James Gunn. And here we have a look at the timeline of releases, okay? We'll put that up there. We'll keep that meme here. But this timeline of releases, it's still the idea that Flashpoint isn't used as the reset. And in the DC animated universe, look, there's Elseworlds, DC animation, but then for a while there was like a DC universe proper that that basically was Flashpoint through the New 52, and it ended with the Darkseid Wars, and that movie also ends with a Flashpoint, and it was kind of Flashpoint to Flashpoint. I thought what they displayed there, how they portrayed the importance of a flashpoint, how it's triggered, what happens afterwards. The rule, not world building, rule building was perfect. Look, everything's going to have like miscalculations, mistakes, but it really was. And it works so well. And it actually works within this larger tapestry if you're just going to sit down and watch the DC animated movies for hours on end, like people like me do. But James Gunn still seems to have ignored another major, and I put some of these clips in my previous video. We do have a Crisis of Infinity Earths in DC Warner Brothers TV. And I remember when that dropped. Look, I was never into Smallville after season 4, season 5. Didn't get into the Flashverse or the Arrowverse. Never got into Naomi, Black Lightning, live actions, of course. Never got into these other ideas. Like maybe at one time I was curious of the Smallville Aquaman spinoff, but that's really it. But I remember when that Crisis of Infinity Earths dropped, and it really was exciting. There was a lot of people talking about it, a lot of people commenting, a lot of people speculating, and it was somewhat of a validation of the DNA and the nature of the DC properties from its very core, from the very inception. And it's okay to compare DC to Marvel, because Marvel was basically the early 60s all the way through, and technically still all the way through now when it comes to what they call the 616. It's a streamlined universe, streamlined continuity. Now, since then, Marvel has completely destroyed it with their Secret War. Hickman turned everything upside down, and there was no looking back, and it broke the foundation. But for DC always had a shifting foundation. They were almost like continents always moving. It was always like Pangea. DC, even in the core and the birth of the company itself was multiversal. And the correction of the Crisis of Infinity Earths of the 80s that led into things like the John Byrne Man of Steel, which is still the greatest origin Man of Steel of all time. Losing my train of thought. But these ideas became permanent. They became a part of this like fabric, and they were there for time investment. So we could really read Crisis of Infinity Earths all the way through 0 Hour, know everything that was happening. Keep in mind, Crisis of Infinity Earths had a history of the DC Universe prestige format 2-issue, like 2 books, okay? You know, like they did that. 0 Hour had fold out posters that explained the timelines and everything that happened in between, so you would be caught up. The very DNA of DC is multiversal and Elseworlds. Now, with the Zack Snyder stuff, we were already getting that. Zack Snyder saw the DNA of the DC universe and decided to lead with that. Essentially, so did James Gunn. And the reason for this, it's really low-hanging fruit. The story possibilities, the excitement it creates within fans, it's there, okay? The comic book marketplace is great for these filmmakers because a lot of these ideas have sat on the market for decades, for 20, 30, 40, even 50 years. And there's, believe it or not, there's a lot of data. There's a lot there to pull from, to sift through and discover what really works. Now, we can always debate why it works, but we can see it. We can see what works, and we can pull this over here. And the point I'm getting at is that I am shocked that James Gunn hasn't seen this, like all the way through, meaning the DC Warner Brothers TV shows, that whole Arrowverse has a crisis. They were already building towards a Flashpoint movie. We don't need to reset anything. We could continue within this other multiverse thread and have everything explained post Flashpoint. And you might be saying to yourself, well, Pete, what do we do about Shazam, like something like Blue Beetle, Aquaman? Look, during the pandemic, HBO Max freaking popped. It popped because it had that King Kong Godzilla movie, it had the Mortal Kombat, they dumped Dune, and it was all boom, it was all there, it was all digital, it was all streamed. And it's so funny that the streaming numbers popped so much during the pandemic. A lot of those apps got into the minds and the gray matter of the consumers, and then the theaters came back, and now they're just putting movies back in theaters. They're ignoring streaming, and the streaming numbers are dipping. Now look, there's a lot of economics, there's a lot of correlation. I'm not connecting all of the dots, but that is one of the dots. So just dump everything on stream. Dump Aquaman, dump it all, okay? It's just one of those, you have to make the rest, you have to make the bet, okay? And it's frustrating knowing that we already technically have a DC Elseworlds, live action DC Elseworlds, with a Crisis of Infinity Earths, with an Anti-Monitor. It's already baked into the dough, and now we're being forced through more time. We're getting re-educated and then potentially re-prepped for another round of movies, another round of content that James Gunn is very animated on, that it's going to be connective and permanent. Every time you hear that, I mean, even in the comic days, every time an editor would say that in an interview, you would just it would be like Picard, like that Picard meme. It's frustrating. It's already there. Start with Flashpoint, dump the rest on stream, and move forward. I think that is the absolute boldest move. I think if they made that move, it would literally give me confidence, and it would also give me, this is why we reboot, a starting point. There's no starting point now. It's too confusing. Peter A. DeLuca here, just dumping some thoughts. Also, by the way, guys, also coming up, we have a pretty big Punisher video coming up that kind of outlines and leads into Punisher 9. People, this is the work I do just to review one modern day comic. I've been showing this off from video to video, and the reason for that is, again, validation. I want all of you to see some of this through my eyes, and the only way I can do it is to have visuals, and I'm not just going to do throw-ups. I can't just show you this over here. It needs to be on my desk, because I love you all, and I want you guys to be with me on this. This is so exciting too. We're growing the AKAPAD army. People, the website numbers are up. All the social media numbers are up. We're going to keep going. We're not slowing down. We're not stopping. Everyone, you guys don't even know. I've been at this for years already. I think we're hitting a little bit of that peak. We can only go to the moon. I love you. Rock and roll.